Hey, Nikki Brown here. No matter where you are and no matter what part of the world you're in, I hope that you're having a delightful day. I just jumped on camera because I had a message. Let me get myself together here. As you can see, I'm still in my PJs. I don't care about anybody judging me. You'll be alright. So anyhow, if you're someone who is in the dating world, and I'm mainly referring to heterosexual women who are dating men, but of course I know that it can cross those lines into same-sex relationships as well. So the reason I'm saying that is because if you can't relate to it, then disregard it. Not disregard it, but again, if you can't relate to it, then this message may not be for you. But if you can relate to it, male or female, then I'm glad that you got something out of it, right? I hear a lot of people say, and I've been hearing this for years, even like one of my good friends, he used to always say, you have to play dumb. And I'm like, I don't know how to play dumb. I just don't know how to do that, right? And this was like in the 90s or the 2000s, before I got before I advanced my education. I'm gonna say it that way, right? So at that point, I just had a high school diploma and I was working for Verizon, and it was before I met someone I ended up being in a relationship with for 6.5 years. So anyhow, he used to always say, well, you have to play dumb. And again, I'm like, I don't understand what that means. Like, I just want to be myself. So again, a lot of women and even men say that you basically have to dumb yourself down. That's what he used to say. He used to say you have to dumb yourself down, but some people just say you have to play dumb. No matter how they say it, it basically means the same, right? I don't know how to do that, but I do understand that a lot of men, whether it's subconscious or conscious, they want to feel I'll put it this way. One woman who's married, and her husband takes care of her, and she doesn't work, right? She's just an influencer on YouTube. She doesn't work, to the best of my knowledge. She basically said, if you're smarter than him, why would he want to pay bills? Like, why would he want to be the provider? But then, of course, there are some women who don't want a provider. They just want a companion. But then, of course, those dynamics don't mesh well, right? Then, of course, we have the fact that a lot of men were raised to soar their royal oats, right? And just considered to be macho men if they're promiscuous and sexually free. And that basically they can do this for as long as they want to, you know, and some of them do it until they leave here, and some of them do it until they're an older age, and then they want a younger woman who's going to take care of them. Which of course I don't like that either. But again, understanding that some men are intimidated by this because they feel like, oh, well, at some point she may make more money than me. And again, some men are okay with it, but some of the men that are okay with it, you have to be careful because some of those men are users, right? So yeah, they want to jump on your financial bandwagon so that they can ride out with you until, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, oh, well, she's doing better than I probably ever will, because they don't apply themselves a lot of times, right? They just want to be satisfied with, you know, where they are in life. And Steve Harvey said it best, and I know I've said this before. If a man has not lined up who he is, what he is, and how much he's worth, then he can really be no good to a woman, right? Because he doesn't have his 2 feet on the ground. And so he'll be all over the place, right? Even if he is established and has his 2 feet on the ground, he could still be, here, there, with different women or whatever the case may be. So these are things to take into consideration. But at the same time, you don't want somebody who's just using you for your money, right? You don't want somebody who is not able to provide at all. So a lot of women who are educated, they just want a companion, and they want that companion to be secure. So what if she makes more money? That doesn't mean you're less of a man, right? That doesn't mean you're less of a provider. That doesn't mean you're less of a leader. And if she makes you feel that way, then that means that she is just not the right woman for you, right? But again, if you meet someone and you play dumb, so like this particular woman, again, she plays dumb. To the best of her knowledge, her husband does not know she has a YouTube channel. And she is monetized, so she's making money off of that YouTube channel. And that's basically what she talks about, like how to get a man and dating advice, and how to get a man that's going to pay for things, which it has its place, right? I remember, and I know I've talked about this before too, I remember the movie Their Eyes Were Watching God. And in the movie, the wife inherited money from her ex-husband. And then she meets a new guy, and he didn't have as much money. But he basically told her, because they had a little incident, he basically told her, from now on, we're going to live off of my money and what I can afford. So although she had money in the bank, they lived off of his income. Right? So that made him feel safe. That made him feel secure. And it made him feel like he didn't have to live up to this certain expectations. I was talking to my cousin because I've heard him say this several times, and we're the same age. So, as a matter of fact, he's already 50. I will be 50. He's already 50, so he'll be 51. And he's a janitor in a public school, which he makes good money, right? But, of course, a lot of the teachers are attracted to him, but he feels a little insecure about it because the teachers make more money and because they have a profession. The backstory to that is, when he was younger, he wanted to become a teacher, and he was told, you just better get a job. So a lot of people who were born and raised in a certain area on a certain level, if they have a parent or grandparent or someone else, some other caretaker or someone who they look up to that never advanced their education, that person cannot explain to you how to do that. And they don't want you to do that because that makes them feel insecure. That makes them feel jealous. So they'll discourage you. So basically, his backstory is he wanted to be a teacher, and he was discouraged from being a teacher. And I told him, it's still not too late for you. You can still go back to school. But, I do have a master's degree in higher education, college teaching and learning, right? And in that program, I learned that most adults will not stop making money to further their education. Now, if there's a situation where they're forced to do so, or they really see a benefit, then they will do it. But otherwise, most people will just stay stuck where they are, even if they hate it. Right? Most people will just say, well, I'm here, I'm making this money, and they'll just complain every day. And then they don't realize that they become complainers, and they become unhappy, and they become miserable, and they start to infect the other people around them, with this negative attitude, right? And what do, right? You either deal with the person or you don't deal with the person. And it's kind of just that simple. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. I kind of lost my train of thought. I always laugh at myself. I'm one of those people who, when somebody's saying something, like it could be the most gory, bloody, eerie, sad, and depressing thing, but because it makes me feel nervous and uncomfortable, I may laugh. Not like ha 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 ha, but it may be like, and some people get so offended because they feel like you're trying to be condescending, but really it's never. Most people are not focused on the person in front of them. Most people are only focused on themselves. So it's not about the person. It's not about the story. A lot of people will get attitude. Well, it's not funny. Because they don't get it. They don't understand. They're more criers, or they're more people who get angry, but everybody doesn't react and respond the same way. But anyhow, for those of women, those of us, and it doesn't matter what level of education you have, because again, I was given this advice when I only had a high school diploma. So I've always been smart. I've not always made good decisions, and I admit that, but it's because I was not raised to make good decisions. Like, I was raised around people who also did not make good decisions. And so I had to learn how to make good decisions as I've grown and learned new things and learned from other people who do make good decisions, and developed that way. And there's nothing more, like, everybody's timeline is different. I know a lot of people, they feel like, especially, and I'm just picking because I love my Capricorns, but I'm just kind of picking on Capricorns for a minute. But there are other people who are like this as well. So I'm not just picking on Capricorns, but I'm going to pick on Capricorns. Capricorns are the type who, they have like a checklist, right? And again, I'm saying this jokingly, but everything has to be structured and organized in such a way because they're an earth sign. So this helps them feel balanced and secure and safe and protected, right? They feel like everything needs to be in order. And so again, they'll have the checklist, and it'll be like, okay, graduate from high school, check. Graduate from college, check. Have 2.5, get married, check. Have 2.5 kids, check. Buy a house, whatever their list looks like. That was just an example, right? But then for a Virgo, most Virgos are very OCD, right? And if you have an item laying like this and they want it like this, when they see it, they're going to turn it the way they want it to be. And there could be nothing wrong with it. Like, it could be a remote control. Like, for them, everything has a place, and there's a place for everything, which again, there's nothing wrong with it until it becomes extreme, right? And a lot of times with them, it does become extreme. Taurus is another example of an earth sign. And so for them, the way they want things is they express it more verbally. So you have your written, and again, I'm not saying it is exactly this way for each sign. That's not what I'm saying. My point is, all three of those signs are very structured in different ways because, again, they're earth signs and they like to have that balance. It makes them feel safe, secure, and protected, right? And for someone else who is not that way, and it's funny because I was watching a dating show. What was the dating show called? can't remember what the dating show is called right this second, but the dating show followed a few different people. Like, it was a lot of people. Mainly the same four, but it kind of rotated a little bit. Well, one of the guys, he was ex-military. So this is layered, very layered. Because just alone a Virgo can be very OCD. So then when you add the military part to it, he couldn't have a speck of dust anywhere. Like, I mean, literally. So anyway, he went on a date with this young woman. They got along great. It was perfect, right? And he explained how he is. And she said, so you mean it's so let me ask you this. If we were to go out and I got dressed and I laid my clothes on the bed, and you wouldn't be able to leave out the house until everything was put back? And he said, yes. That's a lot. That's a lot for some people. And I was in a relationship with like that, and it drove me insane. Like, are you kidding me? It's not that serious. That makes for a very stressful relationship. So what happens is, when you're in a relationship with somebody that you're not compatible with, and I'm speaking of zodiac sign compatibility, it just usually creates more conflict unless and until somebody is willing to bow down. Right? And of course, they always feel like it should be the woman who just does whatever the man wants. But every relationship should have reciprocity, right? That's not a reciprocal relationship. That is a woman not being herself, right? And then years later, she realizes that she's lost herself, and she'll either become really unhappy, she will leave him, and some even take it a step further and they some of them unalive these men and make it seem like it was natural causes. And it's a slow process, because they'll slowly but surely do things to make that person get out of here sooner. Whether, usually it's in their food. Like, I remember this one woman, her husband cheated on her, and she was putting bleach in his food for like a year. And she was like, oh, I didn't do anything. You just made him use the bathroom. And we were like, are you kidding me? And they eventually got a divorce, but like, she was doing that for a long time. And I personally would not do that. I personally am the type that would just leave. And maybe not so much when I was younger, but I am now that person. Like, when I was younger, I would say, well, I would ask questions, but now the answer is because the person wanted to, right? People do what they want to do because most people are only thinking of themselves. So going back to dating someone who feels like they have to be superior, right? Instead of in a partnership with you, I feel like that is problematic in and of itself for some people. Again, some women, they will just bow down and act accordingly, right? That's how they were raised. And I remember being asked, oh, you can't just deal with it? No, I'm not the just deal with it type. But again, some women are. And I get that. Everybody, is different. And I understand. It's just not for me, right? And I'm okay with that. It's very unfortunate that someone would not be proud of your accomplishments, that it creates a sense of insecurity or fear or jealousy. But that's how society at large wants it, right? The powers that be want it that way because they don't want us to have strong family bonds. They don't want that. And so they kind of pit us against each other, almost like a parent who causes their children to fight, or even an employer who sets it up so that their employees have friction. And believe it or not, this happens more often than not, because that person has an agenda, and this is their way of satisfying that agenda. And a lot of times people get a kick out of it. They think it's fun, they think it's funny, and and I think it's sad, because we should be more focused on building communities, on helping one another. I think it's so sad. And I've told this story before as well, but very popular temporary agency. So I earned my master's degree in 2012, right? So once I graduated, I'm ready to get into the job market full force, because I was just kind of working part-time while I was still in school. And in North Carolina, and I'm finding, of course, that the jobs are paying low. I shouldn't say of course, but the jobs are paying pretty low. Now, I had been told about this before I even graduated, but for me, it was more about me being a role model and having that legacy in the family, that, you know, first-time college student, successfully graduated despite the odds, you know, had a child at 18, thought, you know, when I was young that it was going to be, you know, my happily ever after. But, you know, again, everybody makes choices and everybody does what they want to do. And sometimes people will try to set you up emotionally to have you in a certain place, thinking that you won't go anywhere. But again, that doesn't work for everybody. It does work for some people, but it doesn't work for everybody. And I'm one of those people. Again, talking about being smart even before I had my degree. Although I did have a child out of wedlock, I had other family members who also had children out of wedlock and then got married after the fact. So in my mind, it didn't matter. We were together, we loved each other, we were going to be together. Unbeknownst to me, you know, he fooled me, right? Not to say that he didn't love me, not to say that he didn't want to get married, but he also wanted to play and have me sit back and allow him to play. And people can do whatever they want to do. If you want to see other women, by all means. And he pursued me for a very long time before I gave in. But my first instinct was to leave him alone. And so that's my fault for not trusting my first instincts, and for giving someone a chance. But a lot of times we do that, you know, as women, especially when we're younger and we're new to the dating scene, and especially if we did not have anyone to give us advice or guidance. Like, you'll have people who tell you what to do, right? But they won't say, this is what I experienced. This is what happened to me. And I don't want that to happen to you. So I'm just giving you something to think about it. The way they do it, it kind of makes it seem like they're just don't want you to be happy. And so, you know, because I felt that way, you know, I felt that way. I felt my aunts, my mom, my grandmother. I felt like everybody just didn't, you know, want me to be happy. And then, you know, afterwards, once I had the baby, you know, I got some very condescending, you know, remarks and things kind of thrown at me. And it is what it is. You know, I got through it. I made the best of it. And I'm thankful, right? But, you know, if I had it to do over again, I would have done things a little bit differently. Again, I hear people say that you should dumb yourself down, but again, I've never known how to do that. And so I'm not really sure for those of us who want a companion, right? Some of us are willing to accept someone who is intelligent but not as educated, because it's not about education. There are plenty of people who are very intelligent who, some never even graduated from high school, let alone, college. So I've met some very intelligent people. And if he's secure himself, there are some very intelligent people who started businesses. I think that that's very intelligent. If someone in their, late teens, early 20s knew that that was the route that they should go. Because for some of us who did get, go the college route, it was trickery. We end up working in call centers. Even if we became the supervisor or the manager of that call center, it was still a call center, right? It still really didn't have anything to do with what we went to school for. In many cases, majority of the people that I know are not doing anything related to what they went to school for. But again, having that education just opens up your mind to different things. Reading in general opens up your mind to other things. So again, it doesn't have to be somebody who has academic knowledge in that way. It could just be somebody that's very well read. And so again, you just want a companion who is secure, right? And of course, we don't understand a man's mindset, but basically to say that you have to dumb yourself down in order for him to be with you. And then what? You live your life in secret the whole time you're with this person just so you can, get them to pay your bills? Because that's her perspective. Get you a man, get him to pay for everything, and just do whatever you want to do. And just play dumb and do what he wants you to do and kiki. And so basically, it's like, go to bed with a face full of makeup, wake up before he does, make him breakfast, kiki until he leaves, and, give him sex and let him pay for everything, and then be who you really are when he's not around. I don't like that idea. But it's so funny because some men, they do want that, and they don't even pay attention to the fact that, she's like that, right? They'll go to work, they'll come home, they'll pay the bills. Oh, she made food. Oh, she gave me sex. That's it. And they're just that simple. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. But again, do you really want somebody that you can't even have like a conversation with? Like, you can't talk about anything. She's basically saying, have those conversations with your friends, but sometimes you can't even have conversations with your friends because your friends may not be on that same level. And again, this is not about education. This is about, a lot of people just want to talk about reality TV or the silly videos that they see on TikTok or anything else that's just silly. They don't want to talk about politics. They don't want to talk about, world events. They don't want to talk about traveling. They don't want to talk about starting a business or operating a business. They don't even have the language and vocabulary to have these conversations. And this is not an attack on anybody, but their conversation is more simple. And so you would really have to have, even some family member, like, unless you're good friends with majority of the people you went to college with, you're not going to have, and even then, right? Even then, you will have better conversations, but if you have a master's degree or even a doctorate degree, you still won't have the same conversations that you would have with those people that you would have with people who took it a step further or who have read more books. Again, even someone who has never been to college, but they've read like all the finance and accounting books or something along those lines, they're still going to. But if you're in a relationship with that person, this person can teach you something. So for me, that's all that I would require, right? To have a man that can teach me something. If you're a mechanic, teach me how to do an oil change. I may never ever do an oil change, but at least you were able to show me and teach me how to do an oil change. Right? If you're a barber, teach me how to use, what you use as a guide to do your haircuts. Right? If you're a janitor, show me what solutions you use on the floor to make them sparkling clean. Right? If you're a garbage man, right? What do you do to get the stains out of your clothes? Or what do you do to get the smell out of your clothes? Or what do you do to keep the smell out of your own garbage can? Or how does the city operate in terms of, this particular department? I don't know, right? If you cook, like, I'm not saying that even it should be 50-50, because I get that, again, men want to be leaders, but some men can't afford to take care of the whole entire household. So what's wrong with getting with somebody, whether they have more education than you or not, right? Learn from that person. That's so attractive and so sexy if you don't know and you're willing to learn. But if you just want to be stubborn and not be willing to learn, then yeah, that might be a problem. Because a relationship, both people have to be willing to work, and relationships take work. And I think that that's one of the things that people aren't willing to do. They don't want to put in the work. They would rather get it easy, shake and go, ready to wear, and, get what they want quickly and either stay or move on. And then even still, if they feel insecure or they need, to boost up their ego, they may go sleep with somebody else, because a lot of people are of the mindset that all men cheat. Which may or may not, I don't know. Some people feel like even if the person is faithful for 20 years, in that 21st year, that 30th year, that 47th year, this person might decide to cheat, although they've never cheated in all those other years. And you never know what you're going to get, but if a woman is coming on to a man, or if she's spread eagle, most men aren't going to turn it down. Some will, some do, have integrity and respect for their spouse, and they'll say, oh, well, no thank you, I'm not going to do that, and they'll go home to their spouse. But if they feel like they're not getting their needs met at home, then yeah, they're going to say, oh, well, might as well. Or even if they are, but some do it even when they are getting their needs met at home, so I can't even say that. But I don't know, let me know what you think, because again, I've had more than one person tell me to dumb myself down. And again, I say I don't know how to do that. And so, I am hoping to meet someone who's smart. And again, being smart doesn't have anything to do with having a degree. But, can you have conversations about spirituality? Can you have, I don't know. There's so many different things that people can talk about. And if you only want to talk about, things that aren't really important, like reality TV, or I don't know. Just things that have no substance. And I know a lot of guys don't want to talk to females because they don't want to get to know them. They just want what they want and they just want to move on. And so the idea of having a conversation is like, what? I don't want to talk. I just want to screw. And they don't say screw. And I'm not saying that anyone has said that to me directly. But I know someone who had a person say that I just want to F-U-C-K. They don't want to get to know you. And it's up to the woman how fast or how slow to go. Like, if you just want to have fun, then just have fun. But if you want something more serious, you may have to take your time. And if you're with somebody or talking to somebody who feels insecure, then that may not be the person for you. But a lot of times they weed themselves out. Now, of course, they will still sleep with you. But a lot of times before they even get there, once they see that they can't get over on you because you're too smart, a lot of times they'll weed themselves out and just move on. So you don't even have to concern yourself with it. But sometimes they don't. And sometimes they'll use you if they can. It's like, oh, she's smart. She got money. She got a house. She got a car. Let me, ride on her bandwagon. And again, that has its place too, because if that person is willing, like, let's just say you have a business. If that person is willing to help out, become a part of, or help start a business. Like, say you want to start a restaurant, or you want to go to a flea market. Is that person going to help you carry your boxes or whatever it is that you have to the flea market, or, help you at the restaurant? Even if the person doesn't know how to cook, are they willing to take out the trash? Like, are they willing to help build some income and bring some income into the household on, because, what is that saying? Like, the man is as good as the woman who's in his corner, or whatever the case may be. So, that smart woman could upgrade you, right? So why not give it a chance? A lot of men don't even give it a chance. It's, and then if she doesn't say it right away, it's like now you're talking and getting to know each other. So then after you've been talking and getting to know each other, then the person may ghost you because it's like, oh, this person is smart. Usually they find out before then. Even if and a lot of times men say, oh, well, I don't want a woman throwing it up in my face. A lot of times the woman doesn't even have to say anything about it. Again, if she's not the type of person who can play dumb, because I don't know how to do that. I only know how to be myself. And I know that there are other people who are of that same mindset. How do you play dumb? How do you act like you don't know anything? I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. The only thing I could possibly do is be quiet. But then once I start talking, so again, I don't know how to play dumb. Again, the only thing I could do is not say something about a thing. So like if this person is explaining to me, oh yeah, this is how you do a PowerPoint presentation and da 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 da. I could just sit there and respectfully listen, right? Which I've done. But then if the person calls themselves showing me something, and then they see that I can do it, it's like, oh, that makes people feel some kind of way. Like, why didn't you tell me that you know how to use Excel? Right? I feel like not being who you are can create bigger problems later on down the line. I get it, though. I get it. The man wants to feel like he's in the lead. I feel like depending on the woman, she can still make him feel that way, even if she makes more money, even if she has a higher level of education than he does. And so I think it's very sad and unfortunate that men feel that way. But I guess it is what it is, and it's going to be what it's going to be. But again, if this is something that you would like to talk about, if you have any advice, suggestions, comments, questions, or concerns, please feel free to comment below. And as always, I love y'all. Later.